The purpose of my video was to observe one or more colleagues' classrooms through the eyes of an administrator, noting the colleagues' attention to learning differences, multicultural awareness, gender sensitivity, and ethnic observation. I observed 2 classrooms, teachers to fulfill my observing video, option number 1 for my practicum plan. I used the Gibbs reflective cycle to do my reflections on Mrs. Howard's 9th grade biology class and Mrs. Hernandez's 9th grade agriculture class. For stage 1 of the Gibbs cycle is description of the classroom. The first observation took place in Miss Howard's 9th grade biology class. Her classroom included a total of 12 with 6 girls and 5 boys, including the teacher. The gender sensitivity was about equal in the classroom. The objective was clearly written on the board for the students to see. The students were giving presentations over a nutrition project they were assigned. The students were divided up into groups to complete their projects. The teacher facilitated what group will be presenting and what each group should cover in their presentations. The presentations included a survey on how much fast food people eat in a week and report the results in their presentation. The students also had to choose a fast food restaurant and design a new menu showing 10 to 15 healthier choices and explain in detail their new menu. All of the students were engaged, listening, and learning from all of the presentations. They asked questions. The teacher gave appropriate questioning when needed. The next stage, stage 2 of the Gibbs cycle, which is my feelings. I felt the students knew what to do when they walked into the classroom. They picked up their journals as soon as they walked into the door, sat down, and began their IFA. Ms. Howard didn't have to ask one student to get on task and gave them friendly reminders as soon as the class started. I felt that Ms. Howard has a great relationship with her students. Stage 3 of the Gibbs cycle is the evaluation. As the students were giving their presentations, Ms. Howard used appropriate questioning and inquiry techniques to challenge her students. She was maintaining appropriate questioning, pacing, and time allotted with each student presentation. The questions and the assessments are aligned with the instruction and the learning objective. The questioning and answering was conducted at the end of the class, which helped the teacher identify what students were able to master the concepts and what she needed to reteach. The 4th stage is analysis. Mrs. Howard selected activities and strategies to support learning objectives. The teacher came up with an activity that can be modified and adapted to the needs of each student. As she monitored and listened to each presentation, she gave constructive feedback and performance. Constructive feedback and encouragement. The next stage is conclusion. My conclusion of Miss Howard's biology class is that she consistently conducts informal, formative assessments and consistently acts on the information to adjust and promote student learning. She communicates high expectations for learning and performance. She utilized and created methods for including instructional materials aligned with the objective that engage students and ensure success. The final stage is the action plan. If I were to do another observation again, I would read over her lesson plans for the day. I think this would give me insight of what I was observing before I walked into the door. Now on to the second observation I did. I observed Mrs. Hernandez's 9th grade agriculture class. The first stage of the Gibbs cycle is a description of the class again. Her class was made up of 7 boys and 9 girls, with a total of 17, including Mrs. Hernandez. So the gender was about equal in the classroom as well. There was no objective written on the board, but she had reminders of upcoming assignments that are due. The teacher was up facilitating a Jeopardy review game over beef cattle breeds. The room was divided into boys versus girls for the review Jeopardy game. The game reviewed reproduction, breeds, beef, nutrition, and had a hodgepodge category. All the students were eager and excited answering the questions. The boys obviously wanted to beat the girls wanted to beat the boys. So the game had appropriate questioning and inquiry. The next stage is feelings. I felt that she was professional and courteous at all time with her students and vice versa. She has a great relationship with the students. She models courtesy and respect through patience and active listening. Mrs. Hernandez had a positive attitude, and since the students had great respect for her. The third stage is evaluation. All the students were actively engaged in learning. Mrs. Hernandez provided assistance and clarification as needed. The teacher used opportunities to reteach a concept when students didn't understand or could not answer the question. The fourth stage is analysis. The teacher effectively and efficiently manages time and materials. She was using appropriate technology during the game. She provided positive, specific, and timely feedback, which results in student progress towards learning goals. And then the next stage is conclusion. The conclusion is that all the students were consistently engaged in appropriate self-directions and self-engagement learning. Mrs. Hernandez used motivational language toward her students to do their best. And then the final stage is my action plan. My action plan would be the same as I said before with Mrs. Howard's class. I would have looked and reviewed her lesson plans for the day before coming into the classroom. I think this gives the administrator or whoever is observing an idea of what they're walking into and what to look for. I really enjoyed observing these 2 teachers, and this assignment really gave me a look through the eyes of an administrator. This is Erin Bromley's conclusion to her video observation for her practicum plan. Thank you.